You've probably looked out at the sea at some point and gotten the feeling that it was perfectly flat. That straight line on the horizon seems to convey a sense of absolute balance, as if all the water on the planet were at the exact same level. After all, it's the same ocean connecting entire continents. So theoretically, the level should be the same anywhere in the world. But there's a surprising twist to this story. The sea isn't flat. And maybe the strangest thing is discovering that the ocean level changes depending on the region of the planet. In some places, the sea surface can be meters above or below other areas of the exact same ocean. Yep, the very same sea has different heights around the Earth. To understand how this is possible, we have to let go of one of the biggest geographical illusions we learned as kids, the idea that sea level means a straight, uniform line. Because the planet is far from perfect. We tend to picture the Earth as a smooth sphere, almost like a giant billiard ball spinning in space. But the reality is very different. Our planet has massive irregularities hidden both on its surface and deep inside. Giant underwater mountains. Extremely dense regions. Deep geological faults. Constant movements in the Earth's mantle. And all of this directly interferes with something invisible, yet extremely powerful, gravity. Gravity doesn't act with the exact same intensity at every single point on Earth. In regions where there's more mass concentrated, like great underwater mountain ranges or areas with extremely dense rock, the gravitational pull is a little bit stronger. It seems like an insignificant difference, but the ocean feels it. The water is literally pulled with more force. The result is mind-blowing. In certain parts of the planet, ocean water piles up a bit, forming something like invisible mountains of water. On the flip side, in regions where gravity is a little weaker, the opposite happens. The ocean level sits relatively lower, creating literal, invisible oceanic valleys. In other words, the sea has its own topography. It's just that these features are so smooth and massive that we can't notice them while looking out from the beach. Scientists gave a name to this irregular shape that the oceans form, the geoid. The geoid is like a real version of the planet, molded by gravity. It represents the shape the oceans would take if they were influenced only by gravity and the Earth's rotation. And the result is far from a perfect sphere. In practice, the ocean acts almost like a mirror reflecting the depths of the planet. It reveals, on the surface, the irregularities hidden within the Earth's internal structure. But gravity is only part of the story. There are other massive factors influencing sea level all the time. Ocean currents, for example, can move absurd amounts of water around the planet. Some function almost like rivers inside the ocean, pushing entire masses of water from one side to the other. And when a lot of water is continuously pushed toward a certain region, the sea level rises in that spot. It's as if the water is being stacked. Temperature gets involved too. Warm water takes up more space than cold water. This means that warmer ocean regions tend to show slightly higher sea levels. Meanwhile, cold waters contract and occupy less volume. Even salinity enters the equation. Saltier waters are denser and behave differently than less salty waters. Wind plays a role too, pushing massive volumes of water against certain coastlines over long periods. All of this combined transforms the ocean into an extremely dynamic system. Because of this, the sea level on a Pacific coast can be significantly different from the level you find in a region of the Atlantic, even though they're part of the same global ocean. And perhaps the most curious part is realizing that we live without ever noticing any of this. To someone standing on the beach looking at the horizon, the sea still looks perfectly straight and stable. But on a planetary scale, the ocean surface is constantly warping, slowly rising and falling in different regions of the world. It's a movement invisible to our eyes. But it's extremely important for science. When researchers study climate change and rising sea levels, they can't just use a simple global average. Every coastline has its own signature, influenced by gravity, currents, temperature, and tectonic movements. In some places, the sea level rises faster. In others, slower. And there are regions where the ground is sinking at the same time, making everything even more complex. Meaning, the ocean isn't a still pool. It's in constant motion. And maybe this reveals something much bigger about the planet we live on. Because we grew up believing the Earth was stable. That continents were fixed. That oceans were uniform. But the more science advances, the more we realize that the entire planet is in permanent transformation. The ground moves. Tectonic plates slowly slide. Ocean currents change in intensity. Gravity varies from place to place. And even what seemed absolutely level has never actually been still. Maybe that's what makes the ocean so fascinating. It looks simple on the surface, but it hides a massive complexity working silently all the time. So the next time you look at the sea horizon and see that seemingly perfect line, just remember one thing. The ocean that looks flat right in front of your eyes is, at this very moment, forming invisible mountains and valleys all around the planet. And all of this happens without most of us even realizing it. The most mind-blowing thing about all of this is realizing that the ocean is never truly still. While gravity defines the base shape of that invisible surface we call the geoid, weather, winds, and ocean currents keep reshaping the sea level all the time. It's a balance in constant motion. That's why, when we hear the phrase mean sea level, we have to picture something very different from a straight line drawn by a giant ruler around the planet. In reality, that value is an extremely complex average, calculated from thousands of measurements taken in different regions of the world. Because the ocean fluctuates all the time. Ocean currents push massive bodies of water from one side to another. Winds pile up water against certain coastlines. Temperature causes entire regions of the sea to expand or contract. And gravity keeps quietly shaping everything beneath the surface. The result is a planet covered by a living, dynamic ocean. And maybe that's what makes this discovery so fascinating. For centuries, sailors crossed the seas believing they were traveling over a practically uniform surface. To them, the ocean seemed like a single continuous, infinite, and level expanse. But to a modern oceanographer, the sea is almost like an invisible landscape. A surface full of subtle topography. Gravitational mountains. Oceanic valleys. Hills created by heat. Massive swells shaped by winds and ocean currents. If it were possible to look at the ocean with eyes capable of perceiving temperature, density, and gravity, we would probably see a landscape just as complex as the mountain ranges on the continents. Except it's hidden beneath a calm and perfectly flat appearance. And there's something almost philosophical about that. Because the sea keeps teaching us the same lesson over and over again. What looks simple on the surface almost always hides a massive complexity working silently behind the scenes. The ocean we see from the beach looks motionless. But in reality, it never stops moving. Well, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. What about you? Did you enjoy exploring this corner of our planet? Don't forget to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and it's totally free for you. Also, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss our next destination. And of course, let me know down in the comments. Did you already know about this place, or did it make you want to pack your bags right away? I want to know what you think. See you real soon in the next video.